Question 15, estimate the area of this irregular shape. Now what we do first is we count all the whole squares or the ones that are nearly whole, and then we add together all the little bits of squares to try and make whole squares, which is the tricky bit. So we'll count this as a whole square because it's virtually whole apart from that tiny bit at the bottom top there. So 1, 2, this is virtually whole. 3, apart from that tiny bit there, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I reckon they are the only whole squares. But if that's all you do, you say 7, your estimate is going to be way too low, and you wouldn't get the marks for that. You cannot just count the whole squares, because if you do that, you're basically ignoring all of that bit, all of that bit, because all these yellow bits that I'm shading in are also, there's even a tiny bit at the bottom there inside the shape. So all of those yellow bits together also make the area of the shape. So we need to group those yellow bits together to see how many extra squares we're going to add on to our estimate, because 7 at the moment is way too low. And also what you can't do is just count all the separate yellow bits and count them as whole squares, because they are not whole squares. So what you can't do is this. You can't just go, well, we're on 7, so we'll call that 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. You can't do that either. So if you do that and call your estimate 17, 17 is going to be way too high. So the true answer is going to be somewhere between 7, which was too low, and 17, which was too high. So what we'll try and do now is we'll try and group them. So you've got to see group bits together to make whole squares. So I would basically say that this bit, and this bit put together will make another whole square. So we'll call that 8. And write the numbers around the outside once you've grouped them. Shade them off, shade them as you go, and then write the numbers outside. So that's 8. I would say that bit, and that bit would make 9. I would say that this bit, and this bit would make 10. And then I would say that this bit is roughly half a square. So I'm going to go for 10 and a half squares, and that's my estimate. Now notice that 10 and a half isn't even in the middle of 7 and 17, so you might have decided to go in the middle of 7 and 17, which would have been 12, but I think 12 would be a little bit on the high side. You might get given it, you might have got given 12, but I would go 10 and a half. Normally with these sorts of questions, you're allowed a little bit above and a little bit below, because it does say estimate. So you might be allowed up to 12, and you might be allowed down to 9. So anywhere between 9 and 12, you probably get given the marks there.